It was close to sunset when I reached the far side of the settlement near the base of one of the low hills. I angled up its side and followed the path of the spur line to the horizon. I could walk along its rim and see where it led. I decided I probably would. I certainly couldn't stay here. But that would have to wait for tomorrow. Shadows were crawling over the land, and I didn't like the idea of hiking at night. There was a slight V directly below, where the base of the two hills came together, well beyond the settlement and out of the wind. As good a place as any, and I started for it. Then stopped. Something caught my eye and turned me around. A touch of color just below the top of the neighboring hill. Not much of a color, maybe. A square of brown, a little lighter than the soil. More than a square, I decided, and it was too late in the day for mirages. A square with mud walls, by God, and a thatched roof. I raced down my hill, bounded quickly up the side of the other. It was small, but a hut with a low door and a window. If it was empty, and it surely was, I would have fine accommodations for the night. If it wasn't, I'd simply, "Listen, what'd you want?" I stepped back a pace, and a head materialized in the door. I stared and stepped back again. Great God, the thought came to me. No wonder it lives alone. "Well, what's it?" it demanded. Again. "Why, want?" I cleared my throat. "Andrew Gavin. How are you?" A sudden bright smile cut like a razor across its face. "Andrew Gaffa." It appeared to like the taste of the words. "You coming in, Andrew Gaffa. Thraxil. Come on, you doing that, okay?" And at that point, it came fully out of its hut to greet me. And that wasn't necessary at all. Tall, in places, one arm short and powerful, one gaunt and bony, the left hand stubby and multi-fingered, the right long, slim, tapering to a single digit, legs equally varied. His face was an egg crushed in the middle and hurriedly patched, a nose that began as a stub, angled off into the beginnings of a beak, then gave the whole thing up and fell into a snout. One eye grossly larger than the other, a mouth full-lipped on one side, a gap on the other. His head and body were covered with random patches of hair. He was dun, beige, khaki, brown, or umber, depending upon where you looked. He'd made a sorry mess of the sex problem. The less said about that, the better. Poor bastard, I thought. He was stuck together as if he'd never quite decided what he wanted to be. Nonetheless, I followed him into the hut, thinking, ironically, that he had the friendliest smile on the planet. "Andrew Gaffa, is it?" He eyed me curiously from a squat. "Yes," I told him. "It was nice of you to ask me in, Thraxil." The smile faded. He gave me a blank stare. "What? Was it?" I said, "Just a minute, Andrew Gaffa. Let me get some light." Of course. I sat up at that, another cultural milestone, nearly as significant as the hut itself. Reaching behind him with his longest arm, he grasped a small bowl and snaked it around between us. Flint sparks flew from his hand, and a bright flame took hold. It was some kind of oil lamp, and it smelled to high heaven. But it bathed the hut in a friendly glow. Thraxil studied me. I could tell he wasn't sure of me yet. "Where are you coming from, Andrew Gaffa? Huh? Where's it?" "I came in on the... I made a gesture. He grinned. "On the duel, 'safternoon." "Yes." He smiled mischievously. Thraxil's watching, seen you coming." Another thought struck him. The smile faded to a brooding frown. "You're not like others," he said flatly. "You're like me, Andrew Gaffa." I didn't argue. "I guess I am," I agreed. "More like you than them, Thraxil." He glanced up at me sharply. Mood seemed to strike him quickly, then just as suddenly disappear. "Listen, Andrew Gaffa. They making you come here." "Who?" "Them." He nodded glumly toward the settlement, No, I was on the other hill. He laughed, threw back his impossible head. Ha ha ha! You're like me, only you turning out some better. I couldn't argue that either. Where's it? He asked again. Where you coming from? He bit one corner of his lip. You coming in a duel? Saw that, Andrugafa. How come you riding in a duel? He was making himself angry, and I didn't know the answer he was looking for. Thraxil, I explained. I just got on the duel. That's all. Huh? Where's that? Out there. There were 2 rocks. Thraxil gestured impatiently. For that. Where's it places you been in? Morit, Ansri? His face clouded. I was too. Ansri wants it. Bad there. You seeing that? Thraxil. I leaned forward. I don't know any of those places. I don't come from near here. I didn't think it was the right time to go into the me Earthman business, me professor of economics on the way to vacation on Merivale. It's a long way from here, I said. Somewhere you probably haven't been. That seemed to satisfy him. He had already launched a new thought anyway. Listen, Andrugafa. Why you gotten stuff all over yourself it? What? I looked down at myself, then realized what he meant. Clothes? You mean clothes? Clothes. He tasted the word suspiciously. Sure. Why you gotten clothes, Andrugafa? I wear clothes to keep warm. One hairy brow shot up. Warm? I'm not cold, Andrugafa? No, but it's colder where I come from. Oh. He nodded toward the settlement. They don't gotten clothes. No. I think I gotten clothes, though, he said thoughtfully. He reached behind him and came up with a dirty fiber mat. He drew it clumsily over his shoulders and grinned at me. This clothes, Andrugafa? It looks fine. Listen, Thraxil, may I ask you something? The furrowed brows again. What's it? Like you say, you and I are not the same as they are. Down there. They don't say much and don't seem to do much either. Why is that? Do you know? Thraxil grinned. They be stupids, Andrugafa. He laughed at that. Ha ha ha! Stupids! Don't like and do stuff. See it? As good an answer as any. Is everybody like that? Thraxil shrugged. Most everybody. He grunted to himself, fell into some thought for a moment. Then something new hit him, and he jerked up and glared at me. Listen. Why you ask it, huh? His eyes glinted in the lamplight. Why you ask it, Andrugafa? You already know that. They sending you to do something to me. Sat it? Thraxil, no one. What they wanting me to do? He moaned and rocked on his heels. Why ain't they just leave me alone? Thraxil. Being tired. He snorted. No more talk it, Andrugafa. He turned away abruptly and curled up against the far wall of the hut. I could hear his snores in less than a minute. For a while, I watched the lamp flicker. I thought about going out for bulbs and decided it wasn't worth the effort. They'd be there when I wanted them. Thraxil intrigued me. He was a whole new element in an already confused picture. I could think of about 40 questions to ask him just for openers. Where did he come from, for instance? Why was he so extraordinarily different from the others? What was the rest of the world like? Where was there to go? At the moment, I would have gladly settled for that last one.